Sports fans, you want a shot at beating me in daily fantasy? Well, head over to my private contest tonight and let's see what you got. Only 67 people can enter, so you've got a legit shot at winning some serious cash. Click on the link in the description below and put your money where your keyboard is. And don't miss Jesus Gomez's fantastic article going into more detail on what's going on with the Spurs. Jesus writes some of our best content, so be sure to check it out. Kawhi Leonard is the two-time reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and with the type of highlights he puts on when the other team has the ball, it's no surprise why he's garnered such respect from the basketball community. However, a curious thing happened the other day, both in a podcast I had with Oliver Maroney I recorded a few days ago, and an article published by Matt Moore of CBS Sports. When you open up the advanced stats pages, you see something that simply does not make sense by any stretch. These are Kawhi's on-off numbers. Rub your eyes, shake your head, and mutter to yourself, because you're reading it right. It says here that the Spurs are a plus 9.4 when he's on the bench and only a plus 5.1 when he's on the floor. And look at the defensive rating. Granted, he's off the floor about half the time as he's on the floor, but the Spurs are almost 15 points per 100 possessions better defensively when Kawhi is sipping water and toweling off on the bench. So let's dig deep into some other numbers first to decipher what is going on. After all, it's been well documented how troubled I am by teammate Pau Gasol's defense, and LaMarcus Aldridge isn't a real stopper either. Throw in Tony Parker, who's getting to the end of his career, and now the Spurs have 3 negative defenders in their starting lineup. That could easily drag down any starting group's defensive rating. So let's fire up NBA Wowie and look at the numbers with Kawhi on the floor with certain players off. First up, with Pau on the bench, the team's defensive rating is 108.7, still much higher than their 6th rated defense overall of 104.3. Kawhi without Aldridge, and it goes down a bit more to 105.8, but still above the overall team rating. And when Tony Parker comes out of the lineup, the Spurs are 107.4, so individually, there isn't much of an indication that they're bringing Kawhi down. When Kawhi is in and all 3 are on the bench, the defensive rating still doesn't budge at 108.3 in a very, very small sample size. So let's fire up the NBA's lineup data to figure out where the good defense is coming from. Among their top 14 most played lineups, I suspect you'd be shocked to see that the best defensive rating is a team not only without Kawhi Leonard, but with David Lee out there. And the second most played lineup overall has been their defensive anchor, but it still contains Aldridge and Gasol and even Slow-Mo. However, you replace Patty Mills with Tony Parker in this lineup, and the defensive rating plummets to 118.2. What sparked the conversation was the notion that the Bulls had Jimmy Butler take Kawhi out of many possessions by camping out on the weak side and letting his teammates attack the weaker defenders. I jumped into the footage to see if Hoiberg was really that sneaky, and if their number one option in Butler was willing to sacrifice his game to such an extreme. What we ended up seeing was very interesting indeed. Lots of Butler disengaged with the offense, literally walking around out there on the weak side, while the offense attacked with the other 4 players, exposing Pau Gasol in the paint a number of times. The offense got LaMarcus Aldridge in positions where he was forced to either contest a shot on the pick and pop or close out on a perimeter player, all while Butler stood statuesque on the perimeter, keeping Kawhi away from the action. In the second half, they mixed up tactics a little bit, trying to find Butler on top of the ball screen using Pau's man. Pau was able to be effective on this drive to the hoop, and when they tried Butler down low, it was clear his role was as facilitator, trying to exploit Pau Gasol near the basket rather than go right at Kawhi in the post. And you can see Butler not wanting to use a screen by Lopez that would have gotten him heading towards the ball to potentially find a shot. But there were times, especially in the second half, where Jimmy did get aggressive and looked to attack Kawhi, where he earned free throws after blowing by him and then attacking him out of the pick and roll, giving him a seat, before drawing free throws on the shot fake. Further evidence of freezing out Kawhi was when Leonard picked up Wade for the only time in this game, and immediately they put Wade on the weak side just to stand there while Butler went to work down low. But wouldn't you know it, Wade catches Kawhi sleeping for a split second, and that's all he needs to get to the rack. I also went through the Timberwolves game where he guarded Andrew Wiggins mostly, and I started seeing the same pattern. Wiggins would space to the weak side of the floor so they could attack Aldridge in the pick and roll. Of course, some of this can be chalked up to the normal pattern of the offense, but at some point, when you see Wiggins 5 feet above the three-point line just standing there while at least 3 other teammates are involved in generating a shot, you have to wonder what's going on. On this play, you can see why opponents take less threes when Kawhi is out there, since he stays completely disciplined, doesn't help one pass away, as David Lee gives up the layup. And he maintains their principles by sliding back to his man one pass away in the corner to take away the open corner three. And then it happened when Kawhi was on Levine, who just jogged way over to the left side so that they could watch Patty Mills go under the screen and give up an uncontested shot. So putting Kawhi on an island could very well be a thing going forward to limit his effectiveness in disrupting an offense. Strangely, this could bolster his defensive reputation because his man would consistently not look to challenge him and his numbers would go down as a result. This doesn't ignore the fact that his man is shooting 3.6 percentage points better than his average when being guarded by Kawhi, and there is evidence of him being actually human on defense, getting beat, or losing his concentration and letting his man cut for easy scores. The next question is, does Popovich have to do anything about this? Of course, he's not going to limit Kawhi's playing time or bench LaMarcus Aldridge either, but just a quick look at some of what Dwayne Dedmon can do on defense makes me think he will start eating into the minutes of Pau Gasol, and this might be the thing that gets the Spurs in good enough position to take a run at the Warriors.